see how far off the actual number of people might think they are. Anybody want to volunteer? Let me ask you just about where do you live? What part of?
I'd say 25%.
And where do you live?
Reston.
Reston. That's very good number. Anybody else want to?
Well, I'll say our assessment went up for this year.
Yeah. Assessment and value are two completely different things, unfortunately. But
Probably lost about 10%.
lost about 10%. Where are you located?
Falls Church.
Falls Church. That's very accurate. Anyone else? Anybody else? Where do you folks live?
Reston, I'll pick 10%.
10%. Okay. The point is that what you read and what you see on TV isn't necessarily the facts. And so what I'd like to do is just kind of go over the facts, right? And the other point is, as you can see, we got 3 different numbers in 3 different areas within Northern Virginia. It's very much localized. In other words, of course, when you're watching the news, it's more from a national perspective, and the Washington Post, for example, is going to be talking about real estate from a national perspective. But we're in Northern Virginia. It's very much different than a lot of other parts of the country. And even within Northern Virginia, from zip code to zip code, you're going to have different numbers. So, just to give you an idea, what's happening out there? What's going on in the real estate market? Really, we're back to a normal market. Can you see okay? Yeah. We're back to a normal market, a healthy market. Now, what does that mean, a normal market? Well, the average sale price as of September 2008, right, is currently around $465,000, right? Now, how does that compare? Because you got to bring perspective into the equation in order to understand what that means, right? So if you look back in 2005, Fairfax County is down as an entire county, which is a large county, 28%. Loudoun County is down 31%, and Prince William County is down at a minimum of 38%. Now that's from an all-time high. That's from a historical high average sale price, which was in 2005. Okay. As we all know now, that was an inflated value, right? We also saw our appraisals go up, our assessments, I should say, not appraisals. Our tax assessments were continuing to rise. They've actually dropped down. You know, if you've noticed, Fairfax County has dropped. At least Fairfax County has dropped theirs. Loudoun's dropped most of theirs. Most of the counties have dropped their assessed value. But then they just raised their tax amount, so it really doesn't matter. Now, the average sale price, to bring more perspective into it, in 1998 was $229,000. So this is what I mean by normal market. So in 1998 was $229,000. In 2008 it's $465,000, an increase of 102%. Historically, we've been tracking data in Northern Virginia for about the last 30 years. And over that 30 years, real estate is increased on average 7.7% appreciation per year. Now, of course, that's not a straight line. You're going to have some dips, some valleys, and then some spikes. But over the course of a 10-year span, at least for the amount of time they've been recording the data, it's about doubled every 10 years. And that holds true where we're at currently today. So things aren't as bad as you see, and things aren't as bad as what you're reading in the newspaper here in Northern Virginia. Other parts of the country, the numbers are different. Number of home sales, that's the other metric that we use to determine how we're doing, to kind of take the temperature of the housing market. In year to date, so far this year, we sold 25,000 homes, right, in Northern Virginia. That's an increase from 2007 already of 7%. So we're selling more homes than we did in 2007. That's a good sign. Number of home sales in 1998 was 22,000. So 10 years ago, which was a normal market, 1998 home sales, real estate was a pretty good market, but it wasn't the boom years of the mid-2000s, but it wasn't bad either. It was kind of a normalized, we call it even market. And we're up 12.2% from even then. So while the media is telling you things are completely south and that we're in dire straits, we're not. We're not. We're just back to normal. Okay? The best year on record was 2004, and where 33,913 homes were sold. That's the best year historically on record in Northern Virginia. We're at 25,000, so we're not too far from the best year. Yeah.
Not to argue with you, but inquisitive
the population.
Is that 7% really 7%?
Well, it's a good point. You could bring in the fact that the percentage of the total population was smaller 10 years ago. And so therefore, that it's a smaller population of sales of the total pie. That's true.
I guess what I'm just looking at, with 7% of 22,000 homes back in 10 years ago, is it still 7% of 25,000 homes 10 years back later?
Yeah, I don't have the actual number on that as far as taking it in comparison to what the number of homes. And I don't even know that how many homes were 10 years ago. I don't know if we tracked